This video is a quick showcase of the difference between the Insta360 Go 3S versus the Insta360 Go 3. Why you might want to consider one over the other, or in my case, have both. The key difference is demonstrated. What you're seeing here is me taking a selfie of me recording. But pay attention to the shadows in the top right corner here, under the canopy. Boom. This, what you're looking at here, is the Insta360 Go 3 S. Okay, it is in the horizontal orientation, displayed as such. Right, it's not vertical; it is horizontal. And so, this compared to the Insta360 Go 3. Now, this is the Insta360 Go 3, but it's punched in. The full image is actually so again, Go 3S. The Insta360 Go 3, its full image looks like this. And so you'll, again, pay attention to the shadows of Go 3 versus Go 3S. Now, obviously, the Go 3 is significantly wider in terms of its focal length and its field of view. And the Insta360 Go 3 is dramatically less wide. If we were to take this as an example of the sensor of what is the Insta360 Go 3 and the Go 3S, it's the same sensor. Now, the thing is, in order for the image that we get in the Insta360 Go 3, the original one, not the 3S, there's a very ultra wide angle lens. It's a 9mm, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 11mm, something ridiculous. They essentially put this lens on the image circle, but it's not capturing the entire sensor. It's only capturing a portion of the sensor. It's a 4K sensor, 4,000 pixels wide, but it's only going to capture 2,688 pixels of it. And so that's what you end up with. You're losing a lot of the image. So what they've done is they've expanded that circle so that, or rather they've gotten a bigger sensor, so that, not sensor, it's a bigger lens, so that you take up more of the image in terms of what you're going to get. And as a result, you're getting more pixels in the thing. Instead of you getting something that's about this large, you're now getting something that's this large. The downside of doing something that's like this as opposed to this is this allows you can orient the Insta360 Go 3 vertically, horizontally, whatever way, you'll still get an image that is the same aspect ratio. The moment you go like this, well, now your image is going to change. Now I'm going to demonstrate what that actually looks like. If we open up a Gyroflow, my preferred tool for Insta360 footage, except for the 360 picture itself. If I'm using the 360, I'm going to use the app, the Insta360 Studio app, or even my phone app. But if I'm using the Insta360 Go 3 or the Insta360 1R, like this one here, like the 1-inch, I'm going to almost always default to Gyroflow. First, I'm going to show you some footage from the Insta360, and you'll notice the image is upside down because I guess technically when you take the Insta360 image, or not the image, but the camera, this 360 camera, when it's like this, is actually upside down. This is horizontal orientation, this is right side up. This would be vertical orientation, right side up, but this is actually upside down. So therefore, the image that you're seeing right in front of us, way to fix that in Gyroflow is actually just hit lock horizon. What that does is it orients it up, right side up. What I wanted to do is I wanted to skip over to something like this. So this here is my kid. He is playing with bubbles, and you see the grass, and you see the image circle, not the image circle, but the edges of the image are fully distorted. This is the actual image circle that we're dealing with. The full image is as such. When we fix that, that's what this ends up looking like. So, and if I were to not correct the lens, That's what that ends up looking like, right? It's going to give you that fisheye effect, which is fine. Like you won't get that much distortion of the picture, but you'll definitely have that fisheye effect. But if you don't want that fisheye effect, you simply open up lens correction, and that's what you end up with. Now, the upside of doing this is that I get rectilinear lines, meaning my lines are straight. Now, some people, they like the GoPro style or skateboarder style fisheye look, which is cool, right? That's you do you. One of the things I want to point out is that image that I'm getting is 2.68K, almost 2.7K. If I go proportional, right? This is what the image is going to give me. But the thing is, I want flexibility with my image. I want to be able to choose where I frame my 16:9 ratio within this image, right? So that's one thing. Now, if I were to take the same perspective, because I was recording with both these cameras at the same time. And so if I were to take that same perspective, drop it in here, we were right around here. Yep. That's the image that I'm getting. Now, this is the entire, is it the entire image? Well, let's take a look, right? If I were to open this up and to see how much of the image I'm toggling, you'll notice there's a difference in the ratio, right? This here is the actual image that I'm capturing of the entire sensor. It is actually, what seems to me, a 4:3 sensor. And so if I were to pick the original resolution, I say 4000 by 3000 pixels, that's the original resolution, but I enable stabilize it, or like, this is the difference. This is the, in terms of how much of the image I'm able to capture. And that is the full image, but there seems to be some image being lost on the side. So if I go ahead and go proportional, right? And suddenly I'm able to eke out just a little bit more image from the horizontal sides, thus getting a slightly wider image in comparison to the 4000 by 3000. So this compared to this, the 4000 by 3000 is not as wide, but it is slightly taller in terms of I get a little bit more head and foot space. But if I go to proportion, I crop out the top and bottom so that I can get a little bit more on the left and right. Now, it's up to you how you want to do it. If you want flexibility, export in 4000 by 3000. If you know you're going to be oriented in the 16:9 and you want as much width as possible, for sure. But you'll notice how much more punched in the field of view is when compared to the original Insta360 Go 3. If I were to go ahead and jump back in, right? Like, this is significantly wider, especially when compared to the full on thing. And this is the compromise between the two. The field of view on the original Go 3 is significantly more than the Go 3S. There's a feature on this camera, and I'll maybe make a different video about this later. This here is a FX30 video camera. It's a great video camera, perfect content creation, nice, small. I've got a 20mm f2.8, and you'll notice here is one of those magnetic clip mounts for the Insta360 Go 3, and boom, now I got a multicam portable handheld setup, 2.8K or 2.7K and 4K. I can record easily. Now, if I do this, I mean, I can certainly record, but the thing that I showcase to you, or I'm about to showcase right now, is that there's a difference in the vertical resolution and horizontal resolution based on the orientation. So let's take a look at, say, Insta360 Go 3S footage that's recorded in this orientation. If I record it vertically as such, then what will that look like? Well, if we go here and we open it up and say I bring it to a part of the video which gives you a little bit of sense of scale, and I go to 16:9 mode, and then I go to something that is proportional. Well, first of all, this is the original video, right? It's still 4:3 orientation, but the moment I enable stabilization, you'll notice how the lines straighten up, but I'm also cropping in from the sides. Now, if I were to set this up to be 3000 by 4000, right? 3000 by 4000, boom. So this is the orientation that I'm getting. So compared to this versus that, right? Now, I do get a little bit more horizontal resolution, but I do lose some of the vertical resolution. So if I were to go back to the proportional, boom, I do gain a little bit of that vertical resolution. Now, if I were to now bring it back to 16:9, and I make it proportional, like I just really punched into the image. How much of the image am I punching into? Look at this. Look at how much I'm actually punching into. This is a lot of the image that I'm losing. I don't want to do that. And so for that reason, it's important to know that the image that you want is the orientation that you're going to have to set the orientation appropriately. The Go 3S, although it is a noticeably better image, a better optic out of this as compared to the original 3, I now had to figure out a different solution. This here was the former method, which was the vertical orientation. It's compact, it's sleek, it's in with the edge. But now what I've done is I've added a horizontal thing, and this is probably going to be something that I'm going to have to install on my FX3 as well. One of the things I like about the FX3 is that there's these mounting holes. And so in this particular mounting hole, I'm going to drop this vertical mount, which I kind of makeshifted from an L bracket that I modified and grinded away so that it fits. And simply, this here is the Insta360 Go 3 and Go 3S mount. One of the things you'll notice here is this actually has a USB power option, so I can actually power the camera while I'm operating it, and this simply slides into a cold shoe. All I have to do now is install a cold shoe mount so that I can just simply mount it up right here. And it's important for the lens to kind of line up in center with the lens of the camera, and I can still maintain my sleek low profile of the image that I am seeking to have. Otherwise, I could just stick it into the hot shoe as it is right now. And the only downside now is when I put this here, the lens is not going to be center aligned with the camera, which may or may not be a big deal, but I prefer my stuff to be in center alignment, so this way if I'm getting closer to something, there's not a noticeable offset, or if there is, then at least it's minimal. It's not such that it is not distracting. But anyway, so between the ZVE1 and the FX30, that's the plan. I'm gonna have to go a horizontal orientation, but then the one thing I'm still gonna have to figure out is my helmet cam situation, because right now the helmet cam situation has the regular non-powered magnetic thing that just kind of pops right here. As such, the key difference between the Insta360 Go 3 and the Go 3S, you have to be mindful about the orientation. And this is another shot right here, another clip that I captured using the Go 3S. The orientation here is horizontal, and so therefore I'm getting the most of the image from it that I can. And this is the full image. Again, this is a wider perspective. If I wanted the full sensor almost, then I can do this. This is a 4:3 orientation. I am losing some image, right? This is the full fisheye effect, right? With the full distortion, level, everything. Another thing that could be done, so if I were to say enable that, and I do 0 lens correction, you maintain the fisheye effect, right? But then at the same time, you get the benefit of stabilization. And you still get a lot of the image that you had, and this way you're able to use a lot more than you had initially planned to lose out on, essentially. So that's compare that to say proportional without lens correction. I'm still getting more image though, right? I'm not having to stretch the image. I'm doing some stabilizing, so I'm gonna have to punch into the image somewhat. I guess when I maintain barrel distortion, then I get more image, obviously. But if I do lens correction, then I'm going to be losing some of that image. But it just seems that the 4:3 image orientation is probably the best option. And this is going to give me anywhere between a 16 to 18 millimeter field of view, which is significantly narrower, right? So this compared to, say, the Insta360 Go 3, the original one. And if we bring it back to the exact same spot here, you'll notice how much wider it is, but the image quality, you'll notice all that extra noise on the edges. And if we were to reduce any of the barrel distortion, the noise is still there, right? And if we bring it back to the original full field of view, so this is the full image that we're getting. Now, this is the upside. The upside is you're getting a lot more image. Bringing it back to with the lens correction, right? And now this is where you get like that full on, like everything is moving from the edges and all. So this is actually still is pretty cool. It gives you a greater sense of speed, greater sense of action, more field of view. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's not really that distracting, and it's a different look, right? And this is where it's not so much a question of compromise. Do you prefer the ultra wide field of view in a small package such as this with this ultra wide field of view? Then stick to the Insta360 Go 3. But at the same time, if you're looking for the best optic that you can possibly get, then the Insta360 Go 3S is probably your best option. But this was a curiosity of mine with relation to what is a true difference and difference in field of view and image quality. And I'm genuinely surprised at how much more dramatic the image quality is between this and this, right? Just in the shadow details. And if I were to punch that in, right, just between the two of these, like it's comparable, right? I'm still getting a wider field of view, but man, look at the details in the shadows. There's so much more. And it could very well be that it's giving priority and adjusting to the highlights, but I don't know. This obviously just looks better, and it seems to match better with my ZVE1. And so this is the ZVE1 at 28 millimeters versus now this 28 millimeters with active digital stabilization, giving me close to a 40 millimeter field of view. And so 40 versus 16, I think that's a really good pairing, right? 16 millimeters and 40 millimeters, I think it works really well. As opposed to 40 millimeter plus, I mean, I guess it's not a bad pairing either. It works. And this is not that much different in comparison to like field of view. It is noticeably different, but this has got that cartoony Luffy One Piece spaghetti arm look. And so, I mean, it's not so bad. I mean, the cool thing about this, it gives you a greater sense of speed and action when you want it, whereas this would be more conservative, more traditional with relation to how a wide angle typically looks.
Just standing in the middle of it.
That's it, guys. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. I'll see you soon.